I'm excited, actually. This is going to be a really good show. Hopefully sustain a nice show that people can get a lot of value from and get a lot of content and good information that can help them. When I say help them, I mean the grassroots goalkeepers, people that we serve at the grassroots level. We're not with any club teams, college teams, pro teams. We have to build everything from the ground up. Everything is work, everything is merit. That's what makes our journey so beautiful. With that journey comes lots of challenges, lots of ideas, lots of opinions, lots of things that most other environments probably don't have to deal with, but we do. How do I get the message out to some of my parents who are learning for the first time, who are going through this maze, who are constantly being bombarded with new trends and new social media and new this, new that, the shiny object syndrome? How do I help them? This is how I'll help you. Stay tuned.
How you doing? This is Coach Gabe. Thanks so much for joining us. Today I'm going to be talking about the influence of social media on goalkeepers and the effects that a lot of goalkeepers at a youth stage are having. This is an interesting topic. This is actually a topic that struck a chord with me a few years back. And I just haven't been able to just put some thoughts and ideas together until I was kind of a little bit more concrete on what I was thinking about when it came to the social media effect of this and the environment. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere, and it seems like it's only trending more in this realm of social media highlights and tips and dings and this and that, and oh my goodness, it's just a never-ending barrage of things. We went from having no information at all to having everybody with an opinion who has a cell phone. So it went from one extreme, and now it seems like it's going to another extreme, right? I remember the time, I mean, I'm kind of in that stage where, like where we had nothing to now where we have more information than we know what to do with it. It's an interesting time to see both things. And there's kids that are growing up with all the information at their fingertips. And so how do you quantify that information, and how do you start to see things a little bit differently? And how do you now decipher what you're seeing? I think that's going to be the challenge for a lot of young goalkeepers who are coming up and who are trying to understand the stage that they're in and trying to decipher what's good for them and what's really not that good for them. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about how this could be helpful and how it could be also a hindrance to our ascension in goalkeeping. The way people utilize social media is an interesting thing. They're either uploading or they're consuming, right? If you're uploading, awesome. That's good. I can see some benefits to that. You're putting your highlights, you're putting these cool saves, this particular drill that you do really good all the time, every single day. Awesome. You do that so well. Great. At the same time, are you consuming so much, right? So, you don't want to be over flooded with too much information that isn't relevant to you in the moment that you're coming up. So, social media can have a lot of different, tips, tricks, and ideas, or even just, entertainment, right? But I don't think we're deciphering the difference between entertainment and what's really good for you in the moment. Remember this, we are goalkeepers in reality. This is social media. This is virtual reality. It's a form of reality, but in reality, what you're training for is to be performing in real games. This is not a computer game. This is a real game where there's reality, where you're training habits, you're training techniques, where your things that you do in reality come to life in real games. So understand the difference. Some people do not understand the difference, and they are just constantly consumed on their phone with the virtual reality of all of this. Whether it's a top corner save that someone had to take 10 times to create, and now they posted it and they created it and curated it for you to see it, and that becomes their reality. When you see them in games, well, there's a different reality. at times, right? Because there's no more cut and paste. It's live performances. That's what's happening. It's an interesting dynamic. You can utilize social media to enhance your brand, your image. People can see you. You can show them updates. They can see your journey. I think that's awesome. Those are good things at times. But when it becomes all time consuming, and now you're curating your image, and you're curating these things, and your social media is becoming your outlet all the time for everything. I think there becomes this character you're trying to play on social media, as opposed to this real person that you're becoming in reality, and these characteristics that you're building in reality. So I see things, I've been in environments where there's 10 cameras around us, and all the kids that are around us who are players are, acting a little differently now that there's so many cameras around us, recording everything and recording these moments of, giving back to the community. And that's great. Those are great things if we're doing those on a consistent basis and it's a real thing, and it's genuine. But if it's just a narrative we're trying to create, it's interesting. I don't see that I see it as very phony, and then you might not like what I'm saying, but these are my thoughts. These are my thoughts and opinions. Now, if you're doing this on a consistent basis and you're having, beautiful moments where you're giving, that's fantastic. That's awesome. But if it's just simply for the camera and you're creating this image, then there's something very odd to that, right? There's something very insincere. And, so I'm seeing these things. So, in my academy, we don't normally film. We don't normally film our kids because we want them to express themselves organically, without having to have this pressure that, oh, you're going to be filmed under circumstances. We're going to put you on social media so that people can see you and see what we're up to. It's like, no, we're going to have real interactions here live, and you're going to be doing quality work live, right? And you don't need that pressure of having to be viewed all the time. And look, to each his own. Everybody's a little bit different. I'm giving you my perspective on these things, right? Because we're not performing for an audience right now. We're trying to tinker ourselves to make ourselves perform for the games that we want to play in, so we can get better. These are ideas that I'm thinking about all the time when I'm having, quality training sessions that are in person, and it's very organic. Social media can be a benefit, however, in certain ways by, posting your journey, demonstrating game highlights, right? What is more important in the moment than having good quality game performances than posting high quality game performances, right? At the same time, I see some social media, profiles where they demonstrate some of their failures as well. Like, oh, look, I'm making this mistake. And then I see the community rallying around that person. Oh, pick your head up, or maybe do this, maybe do that, giving tips, right? So I can see certain things that can definitely be nice, where you're part of a community. But then I can also see things where it's like, you're posting your training, and, you do that training session all the time, and you're doing that same activity over and over and over. It's great, but goalkeeping is way more dynamic than one or two particular type of activities over and over and over. Goalkeeping has a lot more happening. Sometimes you're in the game and all you're doing is managing the team and receiving passes, receiving distributions, giving distributions. Sometimes you're not even getting anything. Sometimes the balls are so routine, they're coming in, they're shooting the ball, or it's rolling in, it's very routine, right? That's happening in games. But that's not a highlight, so nobody's posting that highlight on social media. Right? Nobody's posting that as a thing that they're doing all the time, right? Because it's not that highlight tip or the highlight save that we're trying to, create in order to gain attention, right? And I get it. Attention is the new currency. I get it. But it seems like if you became a goalkeeper, you weren't seeking so much attention, right? If you became a goalkeeper, the way you enjoy the game of soccer is a bit different, right? If you became a goalkeeper because you enjoy the adrenaline, you enjoy making saves, you enjoy the athleticism in the position, you enjoy the reactiveness, you enjoy the chaos a little bit. That's why you became a goalkeeper, right? If you became a goalkeeper for the attention, just know that's a double-edged sword. Because when you create that kind of attention, it's fine, but just know that when you do something negative or something, it's right back at you as well, right? And it becomes more of a, oh, okay, look, someone's doing this, doing that for the likes and whatnot. Now all of a sudden goals are going through, or you're not performing in games. It's like, what happened to the saves that you made during those practices? Well, all over social media, right? Where's that person at? Where's that character that we see constantly on social media? Where is that person, right? It's this creation that has been cultivated. So it's a double-edged sword, but at the same time, I mean, it's not going anywhere. It seems to only be increasing. and I don't like to create that extra pressure on someone who's already still learning how to do things, right? Social media could become very consuming. And if you're overly consuming social media and underly consuming training, then there's a problem, a real big problem, because now you're more involved in the virtual reality of this as opposed to the reality of what this is. Okay, so we don't want to be overly consuming virtual reality and under consuming actuality. That is a situation that I'm seeing at times, right? There's also an anxiousness, right? Like, oh, look at this person is doing this, and the way they're doing this, and I'm not doing this, and there's becoming this triangulation of comparison, which is couldn't be more hindrance to your mental health than ever. I see that all the time, and oh my goodness, and then the way they do this and the way they do that, and look, you have to have faith in certain environments, and you have to have faith in what you're up to, because if you don't, then you're constantly going to be seeking a new social reality profile that has another little backflip that they do, and corner save that they make at practice, and it's going to be constantly a new thing that you're searching for, and you're going to go from one thing to another thing to another thing to another thing, and you're just going to be a jack of all and master of nothing. If that makes any sense to you, right? Goalkeeper, you have to be mastering fundamental things. Shot stopping is fundamental. Distribution is becoming a lot more fundamental as well, and people are still needing that, right? Crosses are fundamental, right? Things that are so simple yet not so simple are overlooked in social media, right? And it's not healthy to young people who are, seeing things. It's good to be exposed, right? Like, oh, okay, cool. The way they did that, it's great. But the way they are exposing these things is curated and crafted to make it seem like that's what's happening on a regular basis. And then a lot of times it's not what's happening on a regular basis. So yeah, there is my problem with social media and the effects that it has on our young people. Some young people are like, they feel like they're pressured in order to have to expose themselves a little bit more on social media. And like I said, I don't see a problem if you're definitely posting your performances in games, right? Because that's what the more important thing is your performances in games. That is happening on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. You're having games and you're performing. I think that's amazing. I love seeing a young person who puts their games on social media, puts their moments. That's fantastic, because that's real. A game is real. And that's what we're every day we train, that's what we're shooting for, to perform well in those games. And to build quality character for people as well. I'm trying to not sound so pessimistic in this video, but at the same time, shine light to some of the things that are probably beneficial, and some of the things that are kind of a hindrance to this to the world that we live in terms of our social media exposure. Try to find the reality in the situation whenever you're there, right? Whenever you're looking for things, try to find the reality in the moments, okay? And also try to understand what's good for you, right? What a pro does is nice. What you are in the moment and where a pro is, in between that, in that space in between, is where we're trying to go. Because it doesn't go from where you are to pro. It goes from you to the in between to the pro level, if that's what you're seeking, right? even to a collegiate level, right? It goes from you to the middle part to a collegiate level. We have to find the middle part. We're going to try to ascend to the next stage. Okay. And sometimes the development is failure. Sometimes the development is asking simple questions. Sometimes the development is, reassessing and analyzing moments of your own personal growth. Try to become the news. Don't consume the news. Try to become what that is, right? Try to be above the influence of the social media pressure that's trying to be displayed all the time. It's one thing to constantly be consuming. Oh, look at what this person did. They're the news. And if you're trying to compete, you got to become the news. So what are you doing? What are you doing on a daily basis, on a weekly basis? How are you consuming your own news? What games are you performing in? Okay? Because when it's all said and done, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and see how your trajectory is unfolding in the future. And that's a hard question to solve, right? But if you're constantly going from one thing to another thing to another thing, you're just constantly in this consumption loop, you're going to be stuck in the same place that you are. You went everywhere and you went nowhere at the same exact time. Okay? So, if there's something that's not serving you, if you feel like you're in the same, assess yourself. If you're in the same place you were a year ago, 6 months ago, assess yourself. Make sure that you're constantly evolving and changing. And some changes are a little slower than others, right? So in certain moments, right? So be aware of your own personal consumption and make sure that what you're consuming is serving you and it's not hindering you. Okay? Difficult world to navigate in this social media world. It is. And I'm not, it was almost a little simpler when there was less to deal with because all you had to do, you could focus. Now we're unfocusing on everything. And it's becoming more difficult to become just focused in general. So anyways, with that being said, I wish you tons of luck. If you have any questions, just put them down in the comments and I'll see if I can help you solve those questions. Okay. Have a good week. Coach Gabe, I'm out.